So I just watched Gen V Season 2 and it was actually pretty good. If you ever wanted to see a show where multiple people performed a colonoscopy on one dude, I got good news for you. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a quick review talking about the positives and negatives. But before I even get into the actual review, I just want to say rest in peace to Chance Perdomo, who played Andre. He was such a great actor and a huge part of the series. I'm sure the writers had other storylines planned for the character, but instead of recasting or rushing it, they decided to honor him, and I really respect that. The thing is, you can still feel his presence throughout the show even when he's not there. Like, you can tell the creators and the cast really cared about him. So yeah, rest in peace, Chance. May God bless you. Now, on to the review. So this whole season revolves around Marie Monroe. She's kind of the dragon warrior or the chosen one, insanely powerful and almost on the same level as Homelander. So this season explores how different people are trying to use her power for their own advantage, and I think that was done pretty well. You can actually feel the pressure that she's under and how her story connects to the bigger world. For me, the biggest positive has to be the villain, Dean Cypher, who's actually Thomas Godolkin, which I'll get into later. But Dean Cypher was played by the actor Hamish. I think he absolutely nailed it. His performance wasn't like overly dramatic or too predictable, but there was this constant feeling of uneasiness every time he was on the screen, which really worked. Even though I haven't seen any of Hamish's other roles, I think he did an amazing job here. He fit perfectly into that boyish tone. Next, I think the season overall was just really consistent. There wasn't any bad or filler episodes. Every episode felt connected and worth watching. The pacing was solid and the story kept moving without losing any focus. There was an introduction of a few new characters, which also worked pretty well. It didn't feel forced or like overcrowded. There were also some really good cameos in the season, nothing like over the top or fanservice-y, but just enough to remind you that Gen V lives in the boys universe. And finally, since Andre's actor Chance Perdomo sadly passed away, they had to make some major changes. So instead of recasting him, they chose to shift more focus into Polarity, his dad, which I really respect. It felt meaningful and respectful. Even the bond between Polarity and Emma was also one of my favorite parts this season. But yeah, those were the positives that I found throughout the show. Now moving on to the negatives. Honestly, there aren't that many, but there are a couple of things which I wish were handled differently. The biggest one for me is definitely the finale. They spent this whole season building up this one character, Dean Cypher or Thomas Godolkin, and we kept hearing his name again and again throughout the show. So when he finally appeared around episode 5, the expectations were high. He's supposed to be this insanely powerful guy who can literally control superheroes, even the strongest ones. But then he just gets killed off so quickly. It felt like such a waste of potential, because I really thought he was gonna go full chaos mode, maybe even become a bigger threat in the boys or the future Gen V seasons. But I also have this one theory. Now hear me out. Since his powers involve controlling minds, maybe he actually managed to transfer himself into someone else's consciousness before dying. Like maybe he's in Marie's mind or even someone else's body. If that's the case, that twist could be amazing. But if not, it still feels a bit underwhelming the way it ended. I kind of get why they didn't go with that bigger road though, because The Boys is still the main show and Gen V is technically a spin-off. So they probably didn't want a side character from Gen V to become too influential in the main universe. But then again, they already have a pretty powerful hero from Gen V showing up in The Boys. So it's a bit inconsistent. Still, I get what they're trying to do, I guess. The second thing, and this one's kind of mixed for me, is the whole Avengers level crossover ending. I've seen a lot of people call this a negative, saying it's hypocritical because The Boys has always made fun of Marvel and DC for doing that kind of superhero team-up stuff. But honestly, I'm a sucker for these kind of crossovers. I love seeing characters from different universes and the same universe come together. So for me, it's not even a negative. I actually think it's pretty cool. It's a little ironic, yeah, but I'm fine with that because I'm all in for the chaos. So yeah, those are basically my only negatives, and even they're kind of nitpicks. Overall, I think Gen V Season 2 was a really solid season. The writing was pretty good, the acting was great, and the pacing was consistent. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's watched The Boys but hasn't checked out Gen V yet. It's really a good spin-off, and I'm honestly excited to see how The Boys Season 5 connects to it. Anyway, that's from my review. Take care.